Ahoy there, Legion! 'Tis the day of the dev stream, so you know I got a recap and review for you. Now, if last you heard the devs were losing their dang minds, I got good news for you. They're hitting the big ol' undo button and are resetting Onslaught back to normal with a few buffs for our troubles. This will go into effect either right now or Monday-ish, latest, maybe? I don't know when, but soon. The short version is, and I'll put a timestamp up for folks who only want to see what was actually talked about on stream, so you can skip this if you like. Normal Onslaught is going to be easier, so Wave 8 rewards will be all but guaranteed, while Elite is going to be aimed at folks with thick builds that want to really dig into high-leveled enemies, so instead of capping enemies at 180, by Wave 25 they're going to be topped out at 280. There's an owl in the background just hooting away. I don't know if it's getting picked up in the mic, but my ears are picking it up really good, but trying to continue. Last time it was sniffs, this time it's hoots. Alright, they're rewinding the double burn speed on that efficiency bar. Spawn fixes both to tile sets and AI pathing are in the works. Crashing bugs are getting touched up, and host migration seems to be something they don't know really how to tackle, but they're working on it anyway. Also, they're increasing the focus cap for us, an extra 5k for each mastery rank you got. So their example was, if you're 20, you'll have a total of 350,000 focus to earn each day. Finally, they said armor scaling is not a top priority, but they did mention it by name, so at the very least it's been brought up to the surface again as something hopefully on their to-do list. As for my thoughts on the matter, this seems to be what the majority of folks wanted. One, for DE to pretty much not do any of what they had planned, but also for the hard mode to actually let itself be difficult without that time limitation. While that high-end stuff doesn't really appeal to me with my meager loadout, I know people who are proud of their loadouts they've put together, and they likely want a really beefy target to sink their teeth into to see how it measures up. It's like that one king who built a massive catapult outside of a base that didn't want to surrender. When the catapult was finished, they waved the white flag and walked out with their hands up, only for the guy to make him turn around and march right on back. They waited for him to build that monster. By crikey, he was going to use it. So I'm glad both the normal mode will allow us easier access to the loot we're looking for, and the elite mode will be for either focus or, if you wait long enough, potentially quite the challenging time. Now, part of me wants to say it was a waste of time for them to rush those changes out, only for us to get frustrated and then for them to take those out in the end anyway. So we're pretty much right where we started, but with some lingering memories of funk for our troubles. But, as stupid as it would be not to, they didn't have to revert those changes, so we gotta commend them for doing that. Maybe it's the crunch factor with Umbra or Tenno or whatever they had that they ended up dropping a really stanky brain fart. And hell, maybe they'll do something incredibly dumb tomorrow, but for today, the least I can do is give them a toast on making it right. I wish the road was a little less bumpy and with a lot more scenery, but you corrected a wrong turn, and for that, good on you. But let's get back to the dev stream. Let me start with something big to make up for that semi-tangential stuff. Scaling rewards. While it was sparked by a question about Kuva survival, and without Sheldon present, they can't really say anything concrete, Scott said he's not a fan of scaling per se, as he doesn't like the idea of people playing one level for 8 hours, but mentioned perhaps adding more letters to the mix to help with the dilution, like an ABCDE sort of thing. At the very least, I'd like an ABCD system, as right now that AA doesn't really work. Maybe batteries AA is good, but not so much farming in my opinion. Focus reworks are still a thing, but the previously mentioned 5k per mastery buff was quick and easy, while his plans for it would take a lot longer to set up. He did bring up Devstream 100, which is what I actually brought up in that reaction video from the other day. The issue most people I see in the comments are having is that they never hit that cap because the income of focus ain't high enough. So raising it is nice for the power players, but that passive focus acquisition buff that they talked about in Devstream 100, that'd be more the main thing I was looking for here, so fingers crossed they don't forget that part when they go back to it. An odd addition to the planes was flying vehicles you could commandeer, but you can only do so if you found a rare spawn parked on the ground. Well, they finally got the idea of maybe if you take out the pilot of the hovercraft, you could just use his instead of looking for one tucked away. Now, I would harp on him because it seems kind of obvious, but I'm going to assume the coding process was fun to manage, so I'll just take the good news on this one. Khora's rework is looking a lot better than her launch. Her animations are getting sped up, so her whip attack will line up a lot better than previously. Using it on ensnared enemies will force it to pull more in towards it on command, as now it's more of a burst snare AoE that pulls twice instead of a slow creeping pulse sort of thing. Her pet will now be passive, but you can use the ability to command it to attack. You might recall this is how she was supposed to ship, but DE's testers thought it was too difficult, so they took it out. Since they're adding it back in, GG testers is all I can say on that one. Finally, her ultimate will drop bodies instead of keep holding on to them, and if you hit a target stuck in it, the damage will be shared across all enemies currently stuck in her dominatrix net of awesome. Of pain. Of awesome. The new UI coming will allow both PC to use controllers and console squad to use a mouse, though not all that squad is equal, it seems. Steve said PS4 is getting this, but let me just read the quote to make sure, and maybe coming to the other platform if they go that way. While clearly avoiding the Xbox name, likely to avoid ruffling feathers, I find it funny how avoiding that topic like that kind of makes it sound just as bad or worse. Now, Legion. Would you like to see a big head? Because you can with the new Peculiar mod. Everything shot grows in size with this one, so naturally Reb shot out a bunch of Grenier instead of Valkyr, Nova, or Saren, or Ivara, or Ember. Gotta keep it family friendly, I suppose. As for the final tidbits, Ceramic Dagger visual rework in progress, but I'm gonna wait for them to finalize it, as don't want to tease you like what happened with Zephyr. Speaking of deluxe teases, Nidus is in the works now. The fighting minigame they showed off is aiming to be playable at TennoCon. This is minorly worrisome, as they now have added all Warframes with their own special power to it, meaning someone or some people spent time on this while we waited for bug-ridden Onslaught and little else in between, but mainly because the Play as the Stalker mode was at last year's TennoCon, and we've yet to get that in our hands either, so I don't know when this is actually going to ship. Combus Scrambus auras are going to get a visual now, so you can see where and what's up. Though the aura in question shown is pretty rough, so I'm going to give them time to tweak that before showing it myself. The long-lost Equinox helmet was finally brought back to life. They did back this one up in a few different places, so it shouldn't have any corruption issues like the last file. So Equinox lovers, enjoy. A PBR pass for Karak, Graham, and Cronin's on the way. Some more visual details and fashion frame goodness to be had there. No word on the Warframe ones that are supposed to get that treatment already, but as Rhino's part of that group, I'm okay with that, as I don't know if I'm gonna like what's gonna end up after they tamper with it. Well, who cares what I want to see? What would you like to see, Legion? Anything you liked or loved this dev stream? Let me know in the comments below. It was quite a fun ride these past 72 hours or so. Hopefully that hotfix to revert those nasty initial changes is likely already in place or will be in the coming days. Fingers crossed, sooner the better. If you enjoyed this recap or put a smile on your face, we'd be honored if you'd like, favorite, and share this video with your fellow Tenno. And maybe ring that darn bell icon if you could be so kind. Be sure to enjoy your weekend, lads and lasses. Until next time, thank you for watching and take care.